Hey everybody, welcome back to Cavanaugh's Corner. Just want to say thank you to everyone who keeps coming back to the channel and watching my reviews. I really appreciate your support. And as always, if you enjoy what I do here, please hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel so I can bring you more content like this. Today, of course, I am reviewing yet another Criterion Collection release. I had kind of a field day with that Barnes & Noble sale recently, and this was one that I actually pre-ordered to seal the deal on getting the 50% off on this movie, because the moment I found that it was coming out to the Criterion Collection, I had to order it. This was a movie that I really loved when it came out. I was glad that it got the acclaim that it did, because I think it's a really fantastic movie, and that is, of course, Martin Scorsese's The Irishman, starring Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, Harvey Keitel, Al Pacino. Just a ton of great actors and actresses in this movie. Anna Paquin plays a really good part, even though her part is a smaller role in the film. She's another actress I've always loved, and it's great that she finally got another role here where she can really put her acting chops to the test here, and she did a great job. This movie is a Netflix film. This is actually the first movie I own on Blu-ray or otherwise that is actually originally from Netflix. I watched this movie when it premiered. I was kind of eagerly awaiting it, and I'm really glad to see this get a physical release, because as much as I love watching movies on Netflix every now and then, it is very easy access to a ton of films, that I'm glad that it got a physical release on Criterion here. And this set is great. This is actually a 2-disc set. Has a little digibook style case here with the artwork, and you can see Pacino and De Niro here. There's Pacino as Jimmy Hoffa. Has a really great little booklet inside here with the actual title of the film, not The Irishman, but this is the title that's in the film, I Heard You Paint Houses. And of course we've got the 2 discs here, the 2 Blu-rays, the film and the special features, the dead guy. So a lot of assassinations and stuff in this movie, but it is a great film. I'm not going to be going into length about the film. I really love this movie. But today I'm going to be talking about this Blu-ray release, because this is something that I was really glad to get, and I was actually pleasantly surprised by it. I was, again, I'm kind of bummed out because Criterion does not release 4K Ultra HD Blu-rays as of yet. And this movie, when it streamed on Netflix, it originally streamed in 4K with Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos, and the movie looked phenomenal on Netflix. So I was really kind of curious to see how it would look on standard Blu-ray. But I'm glad to say that this does have a 4K digital intermediate that was supervised by the director of photography and Scorsese. And this is a movie that has very different type of styles as the movie goes on. The movie covers many, many years in the life of Frank Sheeran, who is Robert De Niro's character. My one question I had about the film was it going to compare to the stream on Netflix that was in Dolby Vision? And, how was it going to look on a 1080 disc? And the one thing I'm really pleasantly surprised about is that this movie actually looks phenomenal. This looks absolutely fantastic on Blu-ray here. And at times, in all honesty, I thought parts of the movie actually looked better on the Blu-ray than it did on Netflix. And I think it really all comes down to the compression of the streams that you get on Netflix and Disney Plus and Hulu and these other streaming services, because it really depends on your internet connection, again, how the stream is actually compressed from the actual company. And I have to say, watching this after watching it on Netflix, this really blew me away. This is a fantastic transfer here. Thankfully, it is a more recent film, And, you know, that actually helps very much so with most of these movies on Blu-ray or 4K. And I watched it upscaled to 4K on my TV. My Blu-ray player does a really good job of upscaling to 4K from 1080. But I gotta say, this movie really, really blew me away. And in all honesty, I would probably rather rewatch this 1080 disc than rewatch it on Netflix. And it really just comes down to the fact that this is a much higher bit rate. It's totally uncompressed because it's right on the disc. And honestly, I think the movie really only suffers in one aspect, where is the color gamut. And with HDR, like you get with Dolby Vision or HDR10, you do get those, you know, wide array of colors. Sometimes you get brighter whites, I should say. Blech, I'm getting tongue-tied. But brighter whites or deeper blacks, better black levels. This disc, though, I have to say, I did not see any issues with black levels. I think this disc phenomenally showed black levels at a great rate. I did not detect any black crush. Of course, there is no HDR in the disc, but the colors really do shine through in this. And I don't know if they mastered it that way. They might have mastered it a particular way so it would look actually just as good as Netflix does in terms of the color palette. But I was very hard-pressed to see a big differential in the color palette from this to the 4K stream on Netflix. It was almost like unnoticeable, honestly. And I think actually, for the most part, the movie looked better due to the lack of compression on the disc. I very rarely would say that, going from 4K to 1080, but honestly, this movie looks so fantastic. I really did not notice this movie suffering at all color-wise, going from Dolby Vision in 4K on the stream to this. In all honesty, I really like this transfer. This is a fantastic transfer, and watching it on Netflix versus this, it's really personal preference. I would take this over and over again just because of the lack of compression and the fact that, you know, it's a Blu-ray. It's a solid Blu-ray, some slightly lesser colors in certain very well-lit scenes, but the detail level on this disc is dead on. I mean, you can see little hairs in Robert De Niro's head. You can actually see the little, like little hairs on Joe Pesci's face as they get older near the end of the film. Details on clothing are crystal clear on the disc. I loved this transfer. This is a fantastic transfer. And the other thing I wanted to mention with this is that this does come with the Dolby Atmos soundtrack, and the Dolby Atmos on this is yet again fantastic. The audio quality is crystal clear. The music that's littered throughout the movie sounds absolutely fantastic. The musical score, yet again, sounds great. I didn't have any problems whatsoever with the Atmos track that's on this disc. It sounded just as good as the stream, if not better. I honestly didn't notice much in terms of overhead effects. This is really a more music and dialogue heavy film, but overall I thought the Atmos track on this was phenomenal again, and it really does help improve the overall experience of the film. Is it the best Atmos track I've ever heard? It's not really, you know, like an Independence Day. That's DTSX on that disc, but like it's not a very effects-heavy movie. But what you get out of it is fantastic. And the other thing that's great about this disc is it has a whole second disc full of special features, and there's a great making-of documentary. Really funny anecdote in the documentary that I thought was great was one of the actors, Bobby Cannavale. I had to check his name here. Bobby Cannavale plays a great part in the film, and there's a scene in the movie where he has to lift up a telephone and give it to Joe Pesci. And it's funny because they talked about how deep in the details Scorsese gets when he makes his movies, that they got a real phone from the time period in which the scene takes place. And if any of you remember, you know, the receiver phones before the days of cordless and all that, those phones were heavy as hell. and you could use that as a self-defense mechanism if you wanted to back in the day. And it's just so funny because he said he was taken aback by how heavy the phone was. And, Scorsese then realized, oh, wait, he's not old enough to remember phones being this heavy. And I thought that was great. I thought that was really great. And he was like, oh, I'm showing my age now, but it was a great little thing. And the special features on this are fantastic. They actually have real interviews with the actual Frank Sheeran, which I thought was amazing. They have like an anatomy of a scene, a little featurette, but that making of documentary is great. And there's also a roundtable discussion with Scorsese, De Niro, Pesci, and Al Pacino. And I think that's a really great one to watch too, because you really get an insight of what brought these people to the project and why it was so important for them to make this movie. Because honestly, they all kind of mention it that, this could be their last go-around. And honestly, I think this movie, again, if this is their last time together, this is kind of like a magnum opus. I love this movie. Again, it's right up there with Goodfellas and Casino in my mind. I actually enjoyed this movie more than Casino, crazy enough, but I really love this movie. I know a lot of people give it crap because of the CGI and the de-aging effects, and, it is noticeable when they use it, but I think, honestly, it's so well done that you can kind of look past it for sake of the movie. Again, it's up to everybody else's opinion to make their own choices and their own opinions, but I love this movie. I think this is an absolutely phenomenal disc from Criterion, and again, this movie versus the 4K stream on Netflix, I actually like this, which I was not expecting. I really like this release, and I can see myself revisiting this film quite often on this Blu-ray here until they come out with a 4K version, and I'll probably upgrade to that. But for now, this is a great, great buy. Even at $30, $40, it's actually worth it. I was just glad I picked it up for half price during that sale. So anyway, that's all for today for Cavanaugh's Corner. I want to say thank you for coming back to the channel. Again, if you enjoy this, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel. It would mean a lot to me. We just recently surpassed 1,500 subscribers. And it's an amazing feeling. I'm so glad you guys are coming back and watching my videos. It means a lot to me. Anyway, thank you all for coming back to Cavanaugh's Corner. I wish you all the best. Please stay safe and take it easy.